Welcome back to Dark Tower YouTube. This is a special bonus edition. We're going to be looking at the spiritual meaning of the bear and the turtle. There are spoilers for the series here, so if you have not finished the Dark Tower series as a whole, please turn this off and come back once you have. My name is Michelle McEwen. I am your host here at Dark Tower YouTube, where we're taking a deep psychological dive into the magic, the mystery, and the metaphysics of Stephen King's magnum opus, The Dark Tower. Glad to be back here with you. Today we're talking about the bear and the turtle, which are, of course, guardians of the beam and creating the path of the beam that our quartet is on. And we figure this out in the Wastelands. I am reading the Wastelands. We're up to the Wastelands in the regular book club edition of Dark Tower YouTube, going through with a fine-tooth comb and pulling out and doing deep dives on things that I didn't even know were there on my 5th time reading. So if you love being a real big nerd about the Dark Tower, join us in those deep dives. They're getting deeper with every episode as well. But this, I thought, you know what, this is not just Wasteland related, it's series related. So this needs to be special spoiler edition kind of thing. So here we are, and I want to start with the turtle and talk about the Celtic Druidic traditions and the turtle. Of course, the turtle can live many, many years, so symbolizing longevity, endurance, and wisdom that comes with age. And we love this as an idea for Roland becoming wiser and wiser with every cycle. With age comes this wisdom of what he needs to do to reach the tower as a saved man, or maybe not reach the tower and be saved. He's getting there, but each time he becomes a little bit wiser, we hope, we like to think, based on the ending. It is a call, the turtle, to patience and persistence. And we know this because we're all familiar with the turtle and the hare, the tortoise and the hare fable, where slow and steady wins the race. And Roland is slow and steady. The man in black fled across the desert, and the gunslinger followed. He's not in a huge hurry throughout this series. It's a steady path, so we can see some of the tortoise there in him. And then for us, this idea that the journey is as important, if not more so, than the destination. I think that's important for the reader of this series to say, when we get to the end, we see what happens and we go, what? No, then what was the point of all of that? The journey was beautiful, and what did we learn along the way, and who did we love and who loved us? And that's all something that we're thinking about as we live our lives, the journey of our own lives. We want to stop and smell the roses once in a while. The turtle lives close to the earth and carries his home with him, its. And the idea that home is not a physical location, but a place that is always with you, I think is beautiful. And I think we could say that in the series we see Roland and his quartet being home. Wherever they are, he is home. They carry their home with them. It is a vibe, it is a feeling, it is quartet, and it never goes away. So I like that idea. Turtles can move some. Turtles can move between water and land. And from the spiritual lens, we see land as like this earth, materialism, rationalism, logic, this kind of thing. And water is the emotional realm of intuition and creativity and femininity and these things. And the tortoise is this nice balance between both of them. We at Dark Tower YouTube know that Roland needs to have a little more balance on that feminine aspect, and we want to see him get there, to be more listening more to his still small inner voice that is there from the beginning, but that he has repressed and crushed and not listened to his own detriment over the years. He'll get there, though. He's gonna get there. And the turtle is a symbol of protection across many cultures, we'll see, because of the hardened shell and just ducking into that hardened shell to be safe immediately. And this brought up for me the idea of Susanna finding her own Dogen, going inside and being safe from the outside craziness that's going on with Mia in Song of Susanna. She's safe in there for a time, in that temporary protected home, if you will. Let's move on to the Hindus and the North American indigenous peoples. They both have stories of a great turtle who carried the world on its back. Not only, though, is the turtle carrying this world, the turtle created the world in these spiritual traditions. And that's big because that gets into the idea of creation and manifestation as the same thing. And some spiritual philosophies say your imagination creates reality. New Thought is a good example of that. Neville Goddard, these kinds of folks. Your imagination creates your reality. And so we can think about how that might be playing out for Roland. And we did, in fact, look at that several times throughout the first 3 books. We've said Roland has these inner thoughts about wanting to punish himself, fear of something bad happening to Jake, psychological fear, physical fear, and those things manifest. We see the slow mutants manifest. We see the lobstrosities. These kinds of things are happening where we say, could it be that Roland is creating this world in a sense? Could we all be doing that? It's very hard to disprove that, I think. But this idea of the turtle, that's an immensely huge metaphysical idea. I not only am the world, I created the world. I created the world, I have the world, and I am the world. I am the perceiver, I am the perceived, and I am perceiving it all. It's mind-blowing. And to think that Roland has any similarity to that is cool to think about. Or is it Gan? And now the turtle is a crossover into the book It. That's what ties those together. When we see the extended reading lists of the Dark Tower, it shows up there, and the turtle is the thing that connects them. And this idea of creating the universe comes much more into play in It than it does in the Dark Tower. In the Dark Tower, we're more focused on these ideas of protection later in the series, and that's where we get into ancient Egypt and this idea of the turtle as a sacred being who wards off evil, and they would wear amulets. The ancient Egyptians would wear turtle amulets to help ward off the evil things and keep me safe and healthy. So we see that idea showing up in the scolpada, in the little tiny carved turtle that helps keep a number of our characters safe throughout the end of the series. So I think that's really cool. And this idea is the main thing in the Dark Tower, and we've looked at ancient Egypt before. Back in the Gunslinger, we did a deep dive into how the idea of Ka has its roots in ancient Egypt, and we looked at Ka and Ba and the Ak, and how those are things that were not named in the Dark Tower but seem to be showing up anyway. So Stephen King, knowing ancient Egypt and their traditions and their spiritual practices and filtering them into the world of the Dark Tower. Very, very cool. All right, one more thing was the indigenous people seeing the turtle as a symbol of Mother Earth. And I love that, just again to bring in that femininity of it all. The lunar cycles are on the turtle's shell. Did you all know this? I didn't know this until very recently. Why didn't they teach us this in school? Was it too weird woo-woo? But most turtle shells have 13 scales, or scutes they're called, for the indigenous peoples of North America and maybe other places, probably other places, representing the 13 full moons in a year, and then 28 scutes around those 13, representing the 28-day lunar cycle. So that's amazing that that's on a turtle shell, and having a people that saw that, recognized the connection, and said, this turtle is a powerful symbol of the moon, of lunar knowledge and femininity, the divine feminine. Super, super cool. Okay, let's move on to the bear. And across many cultures, the bear is seen as being able to traverse realms, to move between worlds, which is a huge theme in this series. Of course, they are guardians for legendary heroes. Guardians, we know that word well. Guardians of the beam in the Dark Tower. And then let's talk about the bear as a symbol of the cyclical nature of life, death, and rebirth, because I think that's big. The bear hibernates every winter. So looking at that, we can see how there is a cycle of, it's not death, but almost death, rebirth, and then living life, and then going back to sleep. So I think that's definitely relevant to the series as a whole. Now here's a big thing that I did not expect to find when I was looking into the mythological roots of the bear. This is in Celtic tradition, and the Celtic word for bear is artos, A-R-T-O-S, and it means bear-like. So that's, artos means bear or bear-like. And the bear is symbolizing warriorhood, strength, courage, and the name of the greatest Celtic king ever, and one that ties directly into the story of the Dark Tower, is King Arthur, who shares that root of artos, connecting Arthur with the bear. Pretty cool. The bear as a symbol of motherhood and nurturing is pretty big in a lot of different cultures, including the Celts. And this is that mama bear idea, in that she will do anything to protect her young and provide for them. Very protective of their young, powerful, relentless against enemies, and willing to put their lives on the line for the sake of their children. So we see that, and we want that for Roland, and he gets there. He does put his life on the line for Jake by the end of the series, or he tries to. Ka intervenes. I think he messed up early on, and that was that. So maybe that's why we don't have him actually being able to save Jake at that point. That's a different episode. But just to say that he does get to that idea of Mama Bear later in the series. So I think that's cool. We have another idea of Arto, sharing the name Artio, was a Celtic goddess. So we have Arthur the king, and then we have Artio, the Celtic goddess, and she embodied this maternal strength and guardianship. And she was worshipped for this unwavering protection and benevolent guidance. So that, again, is something that we want to have more of for Roland in the series. More of that feminine power, intuition, empathy, nurture, creativity, imagination. We're told over and over again, he does not have a lot of imagination. That's the feminine that he's lacking. Another Artio, Artemis is the Greek goddess, also known as Diana in the Roman mythology. And so she is the virgin goddess of the hunt and the moon. So we're bringing the bear in there as well. So that's a lot of bear stuff. Ursa Major and Ursa Minor, that's a bear thing too. We get Old Star and Old Mother, but we mentioned the Big Dipper at some point in the story, in our story. So lots of bear tie-ins, more than I expected to find. Now let's talk about the bear and the turtle together. So we're going to end this episode talking about how they are linked together in spiritual tradition, in indigenous people traditions. And I want to go through and read this to you, and then we'll talk about how there's crossover into our series. Long ago, before humans walked the land, the world was young, wild, and full of spirit. That reminds me of the Prim being there. Before anybody was on the earth, we had all of this magic happening. So that's a similar feeling to me. Among all the sacred beings, the turtle was chosen to carry the earth upon its back. Strong, steady, patient, the foundation of life itself. The elders say the turtle's shell holds more than earth and water. It holds the great web of dreams. The dreams of ancestors, the dreams of forests, rivers, mountains, and all living things. In the heart of the turtle shell lies the sacred dream catcher. Its threads weave the stories of creation. Its circle represents the never-ending cycle of life, death, and rebirth. So the idea of dreams is huge in the series. Again, I'm on the wastelands, and every dream that comes up, I'm having to do 30 minutes of dissection of what is happening here. And it's quite detailed and in-depth what Stephen King is telling us through those dreams. He has a novel named Dreamcatcher, of course, and he's dreamed up a lot of his story ideas, so he's a big dreams guy. So this does not surprise me that we have this turtle also entering into the dream world in this particular myth. And then that idea of life, death, and rebirth. Yep. But dreams must be protected, for shadows and fear can creep in. That is why the bear's claw marks surround the turtle's shell, symbols of strength, courage, and guardianship. This reminded me the dreams can be corrupted, the rose can be corrupted, shadows and fear, something like a worm can corrupt this beautiful thing. That's what that reminded me of. And of course, using the word guardian for the bear here felt meaningful. The bear, spirit of power and protection, watches over the dreams. Its paws leave marks along the path to remind the people. You must walk with respect. You must honor your ancestors. You must protect your dreams as fiercely as the bear protects the land. So we have this bear also involved with watching over dreams. The idea of this is a quote, a direct order. You must walk with respect. And we want Roland and our quartet to be doing that. Walk with respect. Honor your ancestors. It's that dang horn and that ancestral tradition of the horn that Cuthbert was carrying on and that Roland was supposed to carry on, the horn of Eld, and he let it fall and he left it there. That is not honoring the ancestors. And he gets it back. He gets it back at the end. So he's doing better, but not this time, unfortunately. The turtle moves slowly, reminding us to be patient, to walk gently, to carry our wisdom like the earth carries the mountains. The bear leaves tracks, reminding us to stand strong, to face fear, to defend the sacred. A lot of the same ideas we've already talked about with the turtle, the patience, the intentional movement, not hurrying, wisdom. We've already talked about that. But this idea of the bear standing strong, holy moly, I mean, stand and be true. That is a chorus in this series. So reminding us to stand strong, face fear, and defend the sacred. Defend the rose at all costs. And the Dreamcatcher holds the stories, reminding us that even in sleep, our spirits are connected to the land, to the sky, to each other. So that's a beautiful idea. And our spirits, the spirits of the quartet, are a part of everywhere they walk is connected to them. Not always for the best, to the sky, to each other. The sharing of water, the kef of it all. It feels like that to me, that connection between people, places, circumstances, etc. To this day, the people honor the turtle, the bear, and the dream, for they know dreams are the seeds of the future, and only those who walk with wisdom and strength can carry them safely home. And that is it for our episode on the turtle and the bear. pretty cool to do a deeper dive and find out those things, which immediately felt like very obvious connections to what we're reading in the story, the themes, the symbols, the ideas, just a lot of overlap, sometimes very clearly, sometimes surprising in terms of Arthur being connected to the idea of the bear. And I can't help but think that Stephen King knew that. And now we know it. And this is the kind of stuff that we like to do on Dark Tower YouTube. I hope you had fun. I had a lot of fun. I'll be back soon. I have a next section of the Wasteland cooking and working on the last section of our Man in Black series, also known as, where we're figuring out who is the Man in Black in the Dark Tower, book 7. So that's going to be a big episode. And then we have more episodes with Ash, that fantastic Dark Tower friend of mine, coming soon. So lots going on, probably for the rest of my life, because there's so much to talk about here. Thanks for coming. Thanks for listening. If you're still here, you're my people, and I really enjoy doing this and having you here. If you want to like, share, comment, all the YouTube things, that helps more people find this show. And we want all the Dark Tower nerds to combine, come together. Dark Tower nerds, to me, take no prisoners. Until we meet again, may you have long days and pleasant nights, and happy dreams.